Super Bowl week is officially here, and there is a lot to get into when it comes to the Pats and the Seahawks. But Stevie Johnson, the last time we talked, you did not seem too into the idea of Joe Brady coaching the Buffalo Bills. How you feeling now?
Well, at the end of the day, if Josh Allen like it, then I love it. I can't control it. And Josh is mainly the guy who's going to take the torch. And if he loved Joe Brady and at being head coach, then, hey, I got to love it also.
One of the things we talked about last week, all of us, was the idea of pairing a young, creative, offensive maestro with a grizzled defensive coordinator. We don't know what the deal is with that. But when it comes to Joe Brady, pretty much fits the bill there. And we talked about names like Clint Kubiak as well and Davis Webb, amongst others. Joe Brady has a ton of offensive upside. And I think that's what you have to look at from a Buffalo Bills perspective, in that how much of what his limitations were had to do with McDermott and other people on the staff. It's Joe Brady's gig now. We'll see what he's got.
This is Broken Table. Hein, AK, Stevie. Don't worry, we got everything Super Bowl coming up. We got novelty props. We got the flip of destiny. Stevie's been letting the momentum build because we asked him for his coin flip answer and he iced us. We got everybody else's, so we'll get to that later. But the dust has now settled on the Joe Brady hire, and we need to react to that because Bills Mafia was a little, they just weren't very enthusiastic about the hire. And I think if you were to put Joe Brady's resume on one of these other offensive whiz kids, they would have been ecstatic. But the fact that the organization sort of promised change and they needed a new voice, and then you bring in a voice that was already there, that's sort of what's upset them. I'll say this. Joe Brady apparently wowed them in the CEO portion of his interview. Everybody has said since he was a young guy that this is a future head coach. They knew they had the guy in the building. They didn't want to let him get out of the building, much like we've seen before with Falcons lose 28-3. Kyle Shanahan leaves the building. Maybe even Bills before lose 13 seconds. Brian Daboll leaves the building. So Stevie, when you heard Brady talk yesterday, did you think, yeah, he's the right guy for the job?
Well, ultimately, I always felt like Brady would be the right guy for some head coaching position. When you look at the Buffalo Bills season, my personal preference, it wasn't Joe Brady's offense. It was the defense in situations. So that's where, when I was thinking about head coach coming in, I was thinking more of a defensive mind, because we're actually just so close to getting to a Super Bowl game. But it's the defense that's kind of been folding for us. The offense has been top 5 each year, and when I speak on Joe Brady and how, he's not utilizing certain players and he's calling every play. I mean, I've also said that's impressive that he can call every play, but I don't think it should be done. So with that being said, when I was answering questions, that's retaining to what's coming at me. And ultimately, my preference, like I said, it was a defensive mind, but with Joe Brady being a head coach, maybe that'll relieve some pressure from him by hiring an offensive coordinator that'll allow Josh to evolve more. So, we've yet to see what'll happen, but that'll come in training camp and when the season come around.
Well, and I think a couple of things that are undeniable when it comes to Joe Brady is the infectious enthusiasm, the energy, and the players adore him. You saw the meet and greets after the press conference concluded. They're all dapping him up, hugging him. The guys love Joe Brady, and you could see why. The way he speaks to the media, just how passionate he is about the Buffalo Bills, and how honored he was to find out that he was the next head coach of the Buffalo Bills. But for me, the reason I was so uninspired is because of how Terry Pagula and Brandon Beane were talking about all this change. And in fact, they just promote a guy from within. And a lot of people are talking about the idea of Brandon Beane now even having more control over the Buffalo Bills, because he has the guy that he promoted from within as opposed to an external candidate. That being said, it's incumbent on the Buffalo Bills and Brandon Beane in particular to get Joe Brady some new weapons to play with. And we all are pining for that number one receiver, whether it's in the draft. Bills draft 26th overall. There'll be someone there that they can get, and they'll be able to slide right in there immediately. Maybe it's a trade. Who knows how it plays out? But that's what I'm most fascinated by, more so than how Joe Brady's offense looks or who the defensive coordinator is, any of that. It's what Brandon Beane is able to do from an offensive perspective to get more weapons for Joe Brady to execute his vision.
And I think from what we saw from Brady this past year, Joe Brady took the pieces that he had and made an offense built around those pieces. And if you don't have receivers, you know what he showed me? That he can build an offense where I don't need to use receivers. I'm still going to be top 5 in points per game. I'm going to be top 5 in yards per game. And we're going to, like, even the game they lost, they put up 30 on the road against one of the best defenses in the NFL.
And their quarterback was playing with a broken foot in that game.
Yes.
So, just imagine with some, health, how different that could have looked.
Exactly. So I think it really comes down to and organizations, we've seen it where they have the guy in the building and then they let him go. And I think they really thought highly of Brady, and credit to them. They did all of their due diligence in terms of speaking to all those other people. Now, Clint Kubiak, the one guy they didn't speak to, but given the fact that you would have had to wait 2 weeks,
they spoke to him. They know how to work behind the scenes.
But still, though, like, I understand that you can't just wait those 2 weeks without having a backup plan before speaking to Kubiak. Now, we know Pete Carmichael is in as the offensive coordinator. Joe Brady's still going to call plays, though. Stevie, you played under a head coach in Chan Gailey who also called plays. Does that sort of become... Is it a distraction when your head coach also has to focus on play calling as well? Or we've seen enough guys do it that it can definitely work?
No, it's not a distraction, Hein time. Is only becomes a distraction if the head coach doesn't allow the QB to have freedom within the offense. So that's the main thing for me. Like, we understand that Joe Brady, he provides those top 5 offenses, and that's without outside playmakers, if you say, and still utilize the run game. So, that's not the issue. It's just about situations. We need situational involvement, and that's where coordinators or position coaches come in. So that's where I'm at with it, Hein time. It's no issue at all. And it looks like Brady and Josh have a great connection. So hopefully we can just see that next step, though.
Yeah, it's undeniable. The Josh Allen, Joe Brady relationship had a lot of reasons to do with how he was ultimately hired. But what about the Keon Coleman conversation that emerged at Joe Brady's press conference on the subject of receivers? Brady talked about how much he still believes.
They believe in them, yeah.
They say that.
Yes.
And Josh Allen said the same thing. I thought that was a really fascinating part of the press conference because it was just a week ago. You had Terry Pagula, who was, it was McDermott, the coaching staff. And all of a sudden, they're all going to bat for Keon Coleman. What a fascinating offseason for this kid, because we know the talent that is there, the skill is there. And
the size is there too.
The lack of the number 1 receiver of the Buffalo Bills, he, in theory, could be just that. And I'm very curious to see, maybe Joe Brady makes it a focal point of his offseason, the planning to involve Keon Coleman, or perhaps he's not part of it. That's a massive question that the Buffalo Bills are facing.
I don't think you can give up on him just yet. Stevie, I know your boy Ocho Cinco was saying that he'd love to work with Keon Coleman this offseason and sort of show him a thing or two. I know Stevie on Twitter has kind of been like, hey, Bills, hire me as your wide receiver coach.
No, we need him on Broken Table. We can't, don't take him.
Stevie, if you leave to become a receivers coach, you just have to find your replacement for Broken Table. So you're just going to have to find, I don't know, one of your teammates.
We'll promote from within. Who knows?
Yeah, we promote from within.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of interviews. I'll sit in on the interviews, make sure we get the right guy.
So I'm intrigued to see what they do at receiver. I know AJ Brown is a dude who's been like whispered as they will trade him. It'll probably have to be a post June 1 trade when it comes to AJ Brown. There's names out there. There's also the draft pick, and it's like, do you trust Bean to draft a receiver, or would you rather them trade for one?
A couple of sick names in the draft. Denzel Boston.
Yeah, do it all. This is a new regime, and why not? Do it all. Get a good draft pick and try to bring somebody else in from another team. It was just very encouraging to hear them speak on Keon, and that gave me a lot of excitement for Keon, because I'm calling it his 3rd year is going to be the year where things click and he's going to take off to a next level. So to hear them back him was huge, and the team is only going to get better. We lost our head coach, but the team is still intact. The playmakers are still there, and it's good to hear from them.
I'm excited to see, I'm very excited for next year. And I think one thing that's after we had all that McDermott praise and everybody got his back. And then about a few days later, you started to see some whispers, which is where I tend to stand. And it's the players who were with the Bills, who looked great before they became Bills, came to the Bills, dropped off, left the Bills, look good. I'm talking Poona Ford, who was awesome with the Rams this year. Tim Settle, who was just a game changer. And these two guys were invisible when they were on the D-line. How's about Von Miller, who had almost double-digit sacks this year with Washington and was invisible for all of his time? So I think there's a real problem with what was happening with the defense and the production, especially on the defensive line. And I'm excited to see what happens and what changes with a new voice to this defense and these pieces on defense.
And Joe Brady talked about the importance of versatility on defense, and that's not a word you normally hear associated with defense. That's more of an offensive philosophy, versatility. And I hate to bring this up, everybody eats would be a demonstrative way to describe what the versatility of an offense could look like. But I am very curious what that will look like defensively, and they're clearly going to have some moves to make, whether it be in the draft, free agency, via trade, to improve that defense, because certainly against the run, something that the Bills really struggled at preventing this year. And that's something that just can't happen the way that it happened all regular season. And it definitely cost the Buffalo Bills as far as their regular season performance as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, we barely got pressure on the quarterbacks. Like, the sacks was limited in the playoffs, and we don't speak on it enough. You know, the offense is getting a lot of the shots, and as should, because they get a lot of the highlights. But we seen what happened in these games. No pressure on the quarterback, we get ate up. Or you play soft and off, we get ate up. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in the future for the Bills on the defensive side, not only the offense.
Well, now you mentioned versatility on defense, and that is exactly what we have with both of these defenses in the Super Bowl. A very exciting matchup. Stevie, the way I am, man, no, the Pats can't win. Like, they haven't suffered enough. They go from Brady, they have, 3 years of minimal suffering. They even made the playoffs in that. I can't live in a world where the Patriots get to just go from Brady to Drake May, and Drake May becoming the youngest quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl. If that happens, I think I just renounce football, and it's like I can't watch this sport anymore.
No, it's okay, man. We had some great games against them. Remember the Micah Hyde play?
Oh yeah.
Remember the interception?
That was one of the most fun games ever. The perfect game from Josh Allen.
Like we had our time. It's always a cycle, and we rather them be good and we dominate them than them being bad and terrible. I mean, I know it's fun smashing on teams like that, but you know, at the end of the day, for this Super Bowl game, I feel like it's honestly an uphill battle for the New England Patriots, considering what's on the other side of this with the Seattle Seahawks and having a former MVP in Cooper Kupp and the number one leading receiver in JSN. So I think it's going to be too much for them.
And I think another reason why it's so painful for Bills fans to see the Patriots back in the Super Bowl is simply because of the path that they took to get there, right? You play the Chargers with that beaten down offensive line. CJ Stroud threw, was it 4 or 5 interceptions in that game? I mean, it was a total joke. And we know last week, Bo Nix gets hurt. Stidham's in there. Crazy snowstorm. Probably Broncos should have won that football game, where it was right there for them to win. And now you've got a Seahawks game, and a lot of people are talking about Seattle potentially dominating the Patriots. It's almost like everyone has forgotten that it's still Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
And Drake May has not been good in the playoffs at all. But the guy
going up against, if you look at Drake May's numbers against good defenses, and now he's up against another good defense.
Those 3 defenses that I talked about, that these 3 teams that I've talked about that they played so far in this postseason are all top 5-ish defenses. And Seattle clearly just as good, if not better than any of them. But Darnold.
For me, you nailed it. That is it.
Darnold.
I've been saying all year that Sam Darnold is the clock will strike midnight.
It'll happen.
Sam Darnold will turn into a pumpkin, and it hasn't happened yet. And now at the 11th hour, I'm like, I still think it's going to happen, but given how the Patriots have not really looked inspiring, I think Darnold can have not a great game, and Seattle can still win that. Now, cover, I don't think so. Like, Patriots with the points, I love getting 4.5. 4.5 is a great number. Here's a Darnold stat for you. Not very good against the blitz this season. The numbers by EPA versus the blitz was not very good. Sam Darnold has thrown more interceptions against the blitz than any quarterback this season. Patriots, during these playoffs, blitz rate was 27.6 in the regular season, has increased to 40% in the playoffs. I think the way you're giving Vrabel 2 weeks to sort of figure out a way to disrupt Sam Darnold. And isn't that just sort of the Patriot way? Like, there's a lot of 2001 to this, like the first Patriots-Rams Super Bowl that really jumps out to me. I want to bet against the Patriots, but 4.5 is too much. I think Darnold throws a pick at -132, and I think Seattle can win a close game, but Pats cover at 4.5.
Wow, yeah. I feel like you got to give credit to the New England Patriots because they send that pressure. when it was snowing and they kept on giving the ball back to the Denver Broncos. They wasn't just sitting back and trying to let the Broncos make the plays. They were sending pressure on the Broncos, and that's what ultimately got them to the Super Bowl. So you give credit to them because they're able to adjust and be versatile. And with Seattle Seahawks, we all know what's up with Sam Darnold. However, when you're protected, I mean, he's a technician. And then you have guys like Kubiak lining up JSN in the backfield, Cooper Kupp in the backfield. You got an X factor in Shaheed who can flip the script on special teams or offense. It's a lot to deal with, but it's going to be interesting to see how the New England Patriots dynamic of their defensive-minded coach and Vrabel attack this offense. So it's going to be a good one for me, but I'm still going Seattle, and I'm going to say 33-26. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so cover.
That's a cover. Well, it's funny because you make the case against Darnold, and I'm totally with you, but the case against Tariq May is easier to make. His performance in this postseason has been really, really bad.
Yeah.
Against quality defense.
Against good defenses.
Yes,
But it's not getting
Seattle
easier.
has the best scoring defense in the NFL, so they're going to be very difficult, much like Houston and the Chargers and certainly the Broncos were in that terrible weather in the AFC Championship game. So it's just a tough case to make in favor of New England. It is. I'm going to make it, and I like New England plus the points. The history of the underdog in the Super Bowl, especially lately, is very promising. 13-5 against the spread per FanDuel over the last 18 Super Bowls. And I just think that both quarterbacks could struggle here. I think you could see a low-scoring game, something within a field goal, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if we're talking about a non-quarterback winning Super Bowl MVP.
Well, like the some of the numbers for Super Bowl MVP are a little crazy. And then Stevie mentioned Shaheed. Both of those games, he made plays early that kind of really changed the game. So, like, I sort of like getting, and this is now we're going deep grease here. A nice little like Shaheed first touchdown and MVP, and then just playing the retirement.
Yeah,
just start shopping for yachts.
Like a defense / special teams touchdown as well for Seattle. You get a May pick or a Shaheed return, something like that. Pick 6, fumble return. Shaheed returns one of the house. That could be something that looks pretty good at plus 600.
But I think Shaheed could be a big time game changer in this game. But I'm with you in terms of low scoring. I think there's going to be field goals from both sides. I think both of these coaches are going to understand. Number one, first, the under has been bet down. The under has been bet down to 45.5. I still like that number.
Yeah.
Still like the under. And I think both of these coaches are going to realize that points will be at a premium. And I think they will be more likely to take field goals versus be aggressive on 4th down because they know a low scoring game is coming.
Yeah, and I think the running backs, you look at Kenneth Walker or Ramondre Stevenson, two guys that are the bell cows. Like, there's no split. Like, this is a very old school matchup as far as the running game goes because, of course, we know Charbonnet's done for the year. And we know Travion Henderson's stapled to the bench. It's all Ramondre all the time. So those are guys that I'm interested in as well.
Well, funny you say that because my best bet is actually Travion Henderson.
Oh, interesting. Okay, explain.
I'm zagging.
Okay.
The number has gone too far the other way. Guess what his rush receiving total is for this game?
19.5.
24.5. Okay. So you lowered me. The game backfired.
Sorry, my bad.
24.5 seems way too low for me. Let's go through the 2 playoff games. 28 and 27 in the first 2 games, and then 3 carries for 5 yards in the AFC Championship. The way the Pats have been this year, it's been sort of a zigzag. You're getting 3 games of Stevenson, then you're getting 3 games of Travion. Then Stevenson gets hurt. Travion is looking like one of the best backs in football. Now, as you said, stapled to the bench. I just think in a game like this against a Seattle defense, you are going to need like splash plays. And of those 2 guys, he will give you more of the splash play. I think 24.5, he can get that in 1 play. I'm banking on like 8 touches. If you can get me over 24.5 on 8 touches, I think they'd be smart to give him the ball, and that is my favorite bet for Super Bowl Sunday. But it is the ultimate zag.
Yes, it is. I kind of feel this will be similar to my Tyler Higbee over receiving last week, where he had 1 snap, run the entire game. He did catch a pass for 12 yards. That was it. And I'm like, oh my God, why did I subject myself to betting Tyler Higbee? But it's funny because I'm on Ramondre over rushing, which
it was 75.5, I think.
Oh, just rushing. 50.5 rushing.
His rushing receiving.
The workload for Ramondre in this playoffs has been really surprising. Again, he's getting essentially all of the volume when it comes to the rush game. And even look at last week against Denver. I mean, the second half, they're just handing in the ball 3 yards, 4 yards. Not the most explosive player by any stretch. Clearly, Travion Henderson would qualify more in that regard. But I just think he's getting 13, 14, 15 carries. I think the game will be close. I think the game will be low scoring. And you get that type of volume, inevitably you end up with 60 yards.
Yeah.
So I really like the Ramondre over. I like pairing those two together. Yeah, Ramondre and Henderson, because you kind of get in the best of both worlds.
And while it's like you might get a better number because they kind of work against each other.
A little bit contrarian, yes.
Stevie, what are you on? What's your favorite bet for Super Bowl Sunday?
Well, so I already spoke on the offense of the Seattle Seahawks. It does suck that Charbonnet is out, because that 1-2 punch with Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet is lethal for the mindset. But I'm actually going to go on the New England side and say, if the New England Patriots win this game, it's because Stefon Diggs was the X factor and he had 8 catches or more. So 8+. If he's involved, I believe the Patriots will make the plays that's needed, and he's going to carry those boys to a victory, and it's going to be one of those seasons for him.
So let me just check Diggs here for you. Okay, so his line is 4.5, but adjusted juice. Stevie going with 8 catches. Guess the number you're getting on that.
10-1, 12-1?
Plus 550.
Oh, okay.
So a big number. So as always, me and AK are taking it soft and kind of just lightly treading in the waters. And Stevie Johnson's doing a cannonball in the deep end, and it's taking a plus 550 with Diggs going off. One thing that really,
it's just the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like what, I'm not sure how well the Pats are going to be able to throw the ball based off of the versatility of this Seahawks defense and the one that's skills of the guys they have, but how they're able to move everybody around. So I'm intrigued. I'm excited for the matchup because it's a lot of strength versus strength. But like you said, Drake Mays worries me a little bit, especially because if you look at the numbers, he's really struggled against really good teams in these both regular season and playoffs if he's up against good defenses.
Yeah, and both quarterbacks dealing with some injury concerns too, right? May limited with a shoulder, and Darnold has the oblique that he may or may not actually be suffering from. Who knows? This time of year, you can never really trust the injury report, but I think you have to factor in the possibility that both quarterbacks are compromised to some extent, and the effect that could play on a game like Sunday.
Okay, but we've talked the game, but now let's get into the most important thing, and that is the flip of destiny. While so much focus is on the game, the bet we all can't wait to make is the flip of destiny. You might look at this as just a 50-50, but there's so much more. Let's start with the history. Tails has been the winning side 31 times at the Super Bowl, or 52.5% of the time, with heads coming out on top 28 times, or 47.4% of the time. But winning the toss does not mean success in the game. In fact, it's the opposite. Coin toss winners have a record of just 26-33 in the Super Bowl. And it's even worse recently. Since 2015, the winners of the coin toss are just 2-9 in the game. The Chiefs, who went back-to-back, are the lone outliers in that stretch. But what about the history of these two teams specifically? Seattle's actually unbeaten for the coin toss in their 3 Super Bowl appearances. They did, however, only win 1 of those games. New England, however, has played in 11 Super Bowls, and they rarely win the toss, going 3-8 all time. But here's a fact you really need to lock in on. In all 6 of New England's Super Bowl wins, they've lost the toss every time. And it was tails in 5 of those Super Bowls, with heads coming out on top just once. So even if you lose the flip of destiny Sunday on FanDuel, just make sure you get your in-game bet ready now that you're armed with this information. But clearly, tails never fails, and that's what's gonna win the flip of destiny. Aw, heads. Okay, so we've all made our picks ahead of time. Stevie Johnson, you were noticeably silent when we asked what the coin toss picks were in the group chat. So this is your moment. Heads or tails, flip of destiny, who you got?
Tails. Tails never fail.
So let's bring up the board here because Stevie's with all of us. So I
have heads, man. Come on.
I was going to set you up.
Okay.
Everybody else is on tails.
That's right.
AK, the contrarian that you are, on heads. Give us your logic other than this is just a 50-50.
Pretty easy here. I am one of the world's worst rock, paper, scissors players.
Okay.
Nobody is worse than I am. For whatever reason, I always lose. But when it comes to a coin toss, I never lose. And I always pick heads, and I always win. And when it comes to the flip of destiny, that's exactly what's going to happen on Super Bowl Sunday.
Would you flip coins for money when you were in your younger days? But knowing how you still are.
Crazy Bones and Pogs, and Pokemon cards, wheeling and dealing. That's how I made my money as a youth.
So I just honestly, man, like I just remember sitting in the high school cafeteria and literally just flipping coins for money.
It's before FanDuel was part of our lives.
Well, FanDuel, yes.
Same.
Some of us were still betting in the underground markets then. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
It was before FanDuel was part of our lives. Now, Flip of Destiny, obviously huge. Go to FanDuel, make your pick. And there's some, if you make your pick, there's also some extra prizes there. But novelty props are a big part of the Super Bowl. So as Stevie calls her, Big Money Sing, Takia's got the novelty props covered. Let's go to that right now.
All right, buckle up. We're talking Super Bowl novelty props, my novelty parlay to be exact. And I did some research, so let's get into it. You think the team or the player picks the color of the Gatorade that's poured on the winning coach? Wrong. Gatorade picks the Gatorade color as revealed by a former Gatorade exec. So I did what any normal person would do, and I stalked the Gatorade Instagram. What did I see? Lemon, lime, everywhere. We're going with yellow Gatorade to be poured on the winning head coach. All right, next, say it with me. Tails never fails. It's landed on tails in 8 of the last 12 Super Bowls. We're gonna keep it simple. We're going tails. Here's a fun little tidbit. Only 2 of the last 11 Super Bowl winners have won the coin toss. If your team wins the coin toss, history's fading you. And last but not least, first quarterback to be shown on the broadcast during the national anthem. This one feels random, but I beg to differ. Networks love a storyline, and who's been the shining star storyline of the NFL season? I'm betting they show MVP candidate Drake May as the first quarterback on the broadcast during the anthem. Drop your picks in the comments, roast mine if you want. I'll be waiting.
Okay, so Takia went deep. And there's some facts in there that I didn't even realize.
She's like Pablo Torre.
Yes, she is. She is the Canadian Pablo Torre. A great analogy. I love that. So let's just go to the odds here. Orange this is Gatorade poured on the winning head coach. Orange plus 230, yellow lemon lime, which is what she was pushing, plus 250, which, just going to say, the best Gatorade? It's blue or lemon lime. Then we got blue plus 270. Then the odds take a big jump. Purple 750, water / clear plus 1,000, red / pink plus 1,200. AK, let's start with you. What jumps out? First of all, are you subscribing to Takia's theory?
Absolutely.
About the lemon lime?
Absolutely. Who am I to disagree with someone who has sleuthed the internet for this type of information? I am riding with Takia all day long. Whatever she says goes as far as Gatorade for me.
Stevie, what about you?
Yeah, it's hard to go against that yellow spark, but I'm leaning towards the purple. However, I'm going with the Buffalo Blue. I'm gonna ride with the Buffalo Blue Gatorade.
Okay, there we go. Now, other novelty props. What jumps out to you? I know you've been buzzing about some of these Cardi B props.
Cardi B under 1.5 times shown on television, maybe once, and that's supposing that Stefon Diggs has a big game, which I think is possible. I always ride with my man Stevie.
Can we parlay the 8 catches with Cardi B over?
With Cardi B under. That's the contrarian because you would think if Stefon Diggs has a bunch of grabs, maybe scores a touchdown, they'll be showing her in the stands. But is Cardi B that big of a star where she gets that type of notoriety on the Super Bowl broadcast? Is she?
I don't honestly. Yes, she is, but also I think it's correlated to what Diggs does. If Diggs has a game, I hate to go against you. I think over 1.5. I think is possible.
What was Taylor Swift's over under?
Oh God, that was
like 4.5.
That was probably a ton. So, but there's other Cardi B props, including will Stefon Diggs propose to Cardi B after the game? No, minus 4,000. Yes.
Seems like free money to
11
me.
to 1.
If you're betting 11 to 1, you have some serious issues. Call Connex Ontario immediately.
Stevie, I'm going to throw one more at you, okay? Who will the MVP thank first in his speech? We got God / religious figure minus 290, teammates plus 210, family plus 1260, fans plus 1,800, team organization plus 1,800, coach plus 2,500. Who you going there?
Dang, yeah, I'm going something religious for the first one, and then it's going to be coach.
Okay. If you won the Super Bowl, who are you thinking first?
God, for sure.
Yeah?
You got to thank God for the journey. You think I'm pretty sure they'll think back to the Pop Warner days or the most recent times with guys who just got released and joined the team or, something like of that nature. So you thank God for the journey and being able to be the champion at the end of the day. And, you get back to it. But I believe it's the religious way first.
Would you thank Chris and I for, being great friends of yours in your Super Bowl speech if you could?
Yeah, hey, I will have you guys. I would tell you guys if we win, jump over the barricade and get out here with me so we can record something.
We'll be a friends and
Yeah,
family
yeah.
section.
There we go. Yeah, and teammates is a good number, so I respect that.
I love it.
Before we go, Stevie already gave his game prediction. What do you got for the game?
21-18 Seattle.
How are you getting to 18?
I don't know, but it's going to be some weird stuff.
Is that a scoregami?
So let's go 21-17. You're right.
that might have been
That'd be a Super Bowl scoregami
Yes.
for sure. 21-17 Seattle. Patriots cover the number.
I am going to go 23-20 Seattle.
Just mowing my lawn.
Very, very close to yours. Yes, it's because I kind of doing the reverse engineer the math. I like field goals. So for the 23 with Seattle, I think we're going to get 2 touchdowns, 3 field goals. Pats are going to get some field goals. I think this is going to be, we'll hit the under. Seattle money line will hit. The Pats with
Travion Henderson overs, Ramondre, Stefon Diggs. We all get rich, baby. Let's do it.
We can't wait for Super Bowl. Stevie, I will see you in San Francisco. And don't worry, everybody. We still got some off-season episodes coming. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to the Bills and free agency, the draft, schedule release, all that. So we will see you, combine, everything. So there's still lots of off-season stuff with us in your life. Stevie, play us out.
Yeah, guys, it's been a fun episode. It's been a fun season so far. Leave all your predictions in the comments about our coach, about the offense. What do you think about this upcoming Super Bowl? And you already know what it is. Go Bills for life.